So I'm going to talk this morning about building our voice and our power. And anybody who knows me, as you can tell, I can talk. So when Celine said you have 10 minutes, I was like, anybody who knows me knows I need 30. So what I did was I wrote this because I knew I can digress. And when I get fired up, I digress. So I'm just going to read you my notes so I can finish in 10 minutes time and allow you opportunities for whatever is next they have planned for you. So I noticed that there are some men in the room, and I'm so proud of you. How about we give a round of applause? I like it. So ladies, let me be just straight up. We got some work to do. So I'm going to talk to you about using the power of our voice and our vote and our dollar to change the world. And when we deploy all three, we are indomitable. Now, as I said, I've got 10 minutes, so I'm gonna get really real. And the first thing we need to do is focus. I had to focus on what I had to say to you today. So I'm gonna start with, yeah, me too. Yes, men need to be called out and hauled out. However, let's not get distracted. Let's not lose focus. Truth is, we have lived in a rape culture all of our lives. I'm a product of America's rape culture. Slave masters raped their slaves, men and women, and produced a population of brown-skinned people, all dark skin, light skin, good hair, bad hair. But you know what? I'm over it. This is my hair. This is my crown. I'm a queen. And so are you. Own it. Hashtag own it. So J.K. Rowling says, "We do not need magic to transform our world. We carry all the power we need inside ourselves already." So we have work to do, and we need to do it together. So we need to stop dividing ourselves. Now here's what I mean. This from the Institute of Women's Policy Research. We are almost half of the workforce. We are the sole or co-breadwinner in half of American families with children. We receive more college and graduate degrees than men. Let all that sink in. Yet in 2016, female full-time year-round workers made only 80.5 cents for every dollar earned by a man. That's a gender wage gap of 20%. Now, you are probably all aware of that statistic. You've heard it many times. But here's my problem with the framing of that issue, and here's where I need your help. We need to reframe it, because if we change the narrative to be more regenerative and sustainable and inclusive, Asian women earn 87 cents on the dollar. For African American women, it's 63 cents. And that's despite the fact that according to the National Center for Education and Statistics, African American women are the most educated group in the United States. So what's wrong with this room? Y'all losing out. Native American women earn 57 cents, and Latinas only earn 54 cents. So we need to work together. If we all fight for the lowest wage, we lift all boats. Hashtag own it. So what are we going to do about it? Well, we need to raise our voices. We need to voice it, we need to vote it, we need to own it. The Trump administration has halted a rule that would have required large companies to report to the government what they pay employees by race and gender. That's an Obama-era policy that aimed to close the wage gap. So what are you going to do about those companies that don't report their wages? What are you going to do about letting them continue the practice of asking for salary history when you apply for a job? We need to hold those companies accountable. If the government's not going to do it, we got to do it. We got to do it. Do we have to do it? Yes. All right. Enough's enough. So if you don't report, we don't support. Okay? And to those in Congress who do not support pay equity, we will remember in November. Oh, don't get me fired up now. So with regard to capital access, only 5% of federal contracts go to women-owned businesses out of over $500 billion in total contracts. Of the top 50 most expensive contracts awarded by the federal government in 2016 and 2017, not a single one was awarded to any woman in this room. And how do I know that? Because none were awarded to any woman or minority-led business in this whole country. Now, we own more than a third of all businesses, but according to the SBA, our businesses are 21% less likely to win contracts compared to otherwise similar firms not owned by women. In a recent study by Lakshmi Balachandra, a professor of entrepreneurship at Babson, only 30% of companies we own were able to get a bank loan, compared with half of all owners surveyed. So there's a dominant perception in the world of finance that the successful entrepreneur is a young white guy. And even when the government creates incentive programs to provide a level playing field, to women, poor oversight allows many of the businesses to be largely dominated by men. Hasn't this gone on long enough? So how do we change this story? We got to voice it, we got to vote it, we got to own it. So now here's another irony. This is the greatest irony. According to Forbes, if the economy was a sex, it would be female. The global incomes of women are predicted to reach a staggering $18 trillion by 2018, according to Ernst & Young. We drive 70–80% of all consumer purchasing through a combination of our buying power and influence. Influence means that even when we aren't paying for something ourselves, we are often the influence or veto vote behind someone else's purchase. This might sound familiar. No, sweetheart, you can't buy another pair of another golf club. Or if we're hosting the family this Thanksgiving, we need a larger refrigerator and a couple air beds. Who's making those decisions? We're driving the purchases. Women have a multiplier effect. We are multiple markets in one because we serve as primary caregivers for children and the elderly in virtually every society in the world. We buy on behalf of the people who live in our households, as well as for extended family, older parents, in-laws, and friends. Let's talk about family medical leave. This year is the 25th anniversary of the Family and Medical Leave Act, which mandated that employers with 50 or more employees grant full-time workers who need it up to 12 weeks of unpaid time off to take care of a newborn or an ill family member, or if they are sick themselves. But guess what? The United States is still only the only first world nation that doesn't require that new mothers receive paid leave. How is that possible? The 2019 paid family leave plan is only 6 weeks and only supports parents attending to children as a result of childbirth. Therefore, the largest portion of the family leave population, those taking FMLA leave related to a family member's or their own illness, are left out of this plan by design. It is to be funded by state governments out of unemployment insurance coffers. Okay, now think about that. Some are pushing that we can tap into our Social Security income But here's this. We're almost twice as likely as men to live in poverty or near poverty and retirement, a risk that grows as we age. At the same time, 3 out of 10 of us rely on Social Security for 90% of our income in retirement, according to the National Women's Law Center, while only 23% of men find themselves in the same position. Yet, despite our greater reliance on the program in old age, we receive lower Social Security payments than men, thanks to a combination of lower salaries and more peripatetic careers, since we are significantly more likely to have to take breaks from the workforce to raise children or to take care of our elders. So, y'all, we can't win for losing. So what are we going to do about it? We got to voice it. We have to vote it. We have to own it. So we have to hold companies responsible and support those who support you. So there are companies that offer the most paid leave, like Netflix. I was surprised to find this out. Netflix and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation are at the top with up to 52 weeks of paid maternity leave. Yeah. Number 3 is the British Army. If you go, there's a site called fairygodboss.com that lists the full 180 good companies that offer paid maternity leave. I suggest that you take a look at them, support those companies. Now we got to hold government responsible as well, and we heard Janice talking about the hemp, and she was showing you some pictures of some beautiful, gorgeous men, and so that we really want to get the hell out of there. Anyway, so on April 19th, the Senate voted to kill a 5-year-old Obama administration policy warning auto lenders not to discriminate against minority borrowers, yet another Republican rebuke of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The bank deregulation bill that just passed, nicknamed the Bank Lobbyists Act, exempts nearly 85% of the nation's banks and credit unions from reporting mortgage lending data, which in turn would cripple the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act from being able to effectively monitor housing and financial discrimination. This has to stop. So how are we going to stop it? We're going to write our legislators, and what we're going to do? We're going to voice it, we're going to vote it, and we're going to own it. Thank you. So this year, this is the most important midterm election ever, I think. I don't know about y'all, but shit got to change. Excuse my French. So we have to use our money and our time to support that as well. We need to use our money and our time. And then for the rest of the year, I always like to push the value of shopping your values. What does that mean? That means that watch where we spend our dollars. Invest in your values. We all want strong portfolios, and we can have them, but where are we investing? Where do we need to divest? So if you care about gender discrimination, I'm just going to give you some companies that are the worst abusers. That's the tech industry. I'm going to put it out there. Y'all know this is Google and Microsoft and those companies, not great at it. They're starting to own it, but there's work to do. We have to hold them accountable. We have to not let up. Uber, Oracle, Walmart. Walmart appears over and over again in every kind of discrimination category. Merck, Fox, Salk Institute, Hobby Lobby, Curves International, Abercrombie & Fitch, Exxon, American Apparel, Miller Coors, Cracker Barrel. These are the companies that are the worst abusers of gender discrimination. Pay attention. And then, you know, we can't just, you know, keep on not thinking about who we're supporting. Companies that are the worst abusers of racial discrimination. Walmart, Uber, Target, BMW. Trident Mortgages, owned by Warren Buffett, uses discriminatory practices outlawed by the Fair Housing Act, which was enacted 50 years ago. Then income inequality. There's Target again, Walmart again, Harris Teeter, PepsiCo, CVS. These companies are huge. You know what? We're just letting them off the hook. The behavior's not going to change if we keep supporting them. The behavior's not going to change if we're not calling them out. We can call them out. All together in this room, we're indomitable. Voice it, vote it, own it. In fact, there's an app that I'll refer you to. It's called Buycott, B-U-Y-C-O-T-T. It's an app for helping you choose which issues are most important to you so you're aware of which companies you're supporting. Another great resource is a company called As You Sow, S-O-W. It's based in the Bay Area. They're a team of legal experts in corporate litigation for the public good who will take your proxy for a company that you invest in that's in your portfolio. And because your proxy can be such a small, tiny, decimal point percentage, what they do is they aggregate, they're reaching out to aggregate all of the proxies. And with that, once they get to 6% ownership of a company's stock through the aggregation, then they go to the stockholders meeting and lobby on the floor to get the companies to hold them accountable to change behavior. It's awesome. So if you've never been to a company's stockholders meeting, go to one. If you have a stock and you get one of those proxies or what, go. If you can, go to the meeting. It's amazing. Finally, it goes without saying that we need to support all of our sponsors today who provide the goods and services that we know are doing good in the world. I'm going to say this, and I know this is being recorded. So one of the things that I also try to do is I'll order direct from the site because I ain't giving Amazon all my business. Soon they're going to own us too, right? So let's just, try to spread it around. Now, so if any of the things that I've talked about, if any of these are your issues, those are the issues that we're talking about at ASBC. The American Sustainable Business Council is about policy advocacy, and we work with members. There's about 250,000 plus member businesses, and what we do is identify issues and coordinate messaging. We go to Capitol Hill, we fight. We fight for what's right. And we've got a diversity and inclusion working group that I founded for the organization. We also have a working group for women. We work on independent issues because sometimes it's necessary, but we also work together. So I encourage you all to visit asbccouncil.org, and I think there's some cards at the back if you would like to get more information and just to get the website so you can go there and join if you care to. And then one last note, and this is just so I do work in diversity and inclusion. This is what I do consulting work in that space. And as Celine mentioned, I founded an organization called the Global Diversity Leadership Exchange, which is a nonprofit. The sole focus of this leadership group is to bring together thought leaders, C-suite individuals from companies all around the world, NGOs, as well as government agencies, to talk about the intersection of diversity and inclusion and sustainability. And we did our first two at the New York Stock Exchange, we did a couple at the UN, and we'll be doing another one, we think, in London soon. If you're interested in that organization as well, I invite you all to join. We are a nonprofit, we take donations, and if you want more information, I'm available for that as well. Thank you all very much.